Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
Beckoned by a disembodied voice, you open your eyes. You sit up, look around. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you are. You don't know how you got in this strange room, stripped of any belongings. Your only guide is that voice, the one that sounds strangely familiar, as if you should know who it belongs to. This is how Link's story begins. Except, not really. Breath of the Wild's story is told in a very strange way. If you think about it, there are actually two separate stories that are delivered relatively at the same time. The story of the past, which is told through memory cutscenes, and the story of the present, which is what you, the player, plays through. Link's story is split between the two. His life in the past, before the calamity, and his life now, in the present. I want to find out if he has an arc. What development, if any, does he go through? And I want to know if the structure of the story, the split between past and present, is effective in telling that arc or not. How is Link's character told to the player, and does that improve the storytelling or not? For simplicity's sake, I'm only going to look at the base game. No DLC, no voice memories, and no Age of Calamity. I just want to analyze what the game developers included in the original content. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. In terms of character, Link is an interesting case. In all Zelda games, Link has always been a vessel for the player. Nintendo has stated that they want the player to feel like they are the ones experiencing the adventure, which is why Link has never had a voice. It's also why Link has, in past Zelda games, been very stoic and bland. He doesn't emote, and he doesn't speak because Nintendo wanted the player to emote. Nintendo wanted the player to react to the game how they would, not how whatever protagonist they're playing as would. This leaves us with a video game protagonist that seemingly doesn't have a whole lot going on in terms of character or character development. Of course, plenty of Zelda games have challenged this. We have Link in Wind Waker, who is very expressive and his motive is clear, to save his sister. This then expands to saving the world as he grows into the role of hero. We also see this in Skyward Sword. Again, Link is very expressive and his motive is just as clear, to save Zelda and to then save the world. Link in Twilight Princess is pretty similar, if less expressive. All three of these heroes have had a similar arc. Simple boy to fully fledged hero, motivated to save the ones they love. Then Breath of the Wild came along. On the surface, the Link in this game seems to have the exact same arc. After emerging from the Shrine of Resurrection, after sleeping and healing for 100 years, he's at square one. His motive? To save Zelda, the mysterious yet familiar voice who calls out to him from her imprisonment in the castle. Simple boy to fully fledged hero, motivated to save the one he loves. Except there's something I haven't mentioned yet, something central to his character. That is, of course, his lack of memory. After his century-long slumber, Link has lost all of his memories. If it weren't for Zelda calling out to him, for the Sheikah Slate guiding him, and for the ghost of King Rome getting him started, he would be completely lost. As it is, the ghost of the king directs Link to Kakariko Village. There, after meeting with the village elder, Impa, someone from Link's past, the objective of retrieving Link's memories opens up to the player. To find them, the player must find the locations of the images on the Sheikah Slate, pictures taken by Princess Zelda during her and Link's travels. Upon matching the images to the location they were taken at, the player, and of course Link, can recall that memory. Memories are also retrieved during the 4 main quests to free the divine beasts. At each location, something jogs Link's memory of that respective champion. If the player finds all of these memories, they are rewarded with an epilogue cutscene after the credits, so they're obviously important. But the funny thing is that there isn't really any incentive to find these memories besides the player's own curiosity or just wanting to complete that objective. On top of that, the memories can be viewed in any order, which certainly isn't the natural way to tell a story. But we'll get into all that a little later. Through the memories, we learned that Link was an accomplished swordsman and a respected knight. He already had the Master Sword, the sacred weapon that can only be wielded by the goddess's chosen hero, and he was assigned to guard Princess Zelda, a task which he took remarkably seriously. We even see him save the princess from Yiga bandits. He was, arguably, already that fully fledged hero. Along with that, we see that he was very stoic, always stone-faced, and from this memory with Urbosa...
It's okay, I know. Your silence speaks volumes.
We learned that he was mute, or at least considered mute by the general public. Upon finding all of the memories, however, Impa tells us that there is one more, one that she didn't want Link to relive until he had gathered the others. This is, of course, the very last memory, the memory of his death. We see Link, this accomplished hero, collapse. We see this knight, who is arguably in his prime, fail. That is his story from the past. So what about in the present? Well, after emerging from the shrine, we see a Link who is far more expressive. But not only does he emote more, he talks. And some of his dialogue really shows a strong personality. But that past version of Link, while accomplished, was burdened by his responsibility as the hero of Hyrule. We learned this in Zelda's diary. From the diary it reads, "With so much at stake and so many eyes upon him, he feels it necessary to stay strong and to silently bear any burden. A feeling I know all too well. For him, it has caused him to stop outwardly expressing his thoughts and feelings." The present version of Link doesn't have his memories, which means he doesn't remember this burden. This version of Link is a Link without the Master Sword, without the responsibilities and pressures of being the hero. He can freely be a glutton, can indulge in his curiosity, and he can make ridiculous comments without fearing how others see him. But that doesn't mean he's irresponsible. He's still the same Link after all, and whether or not he retrieves his memories, at the end of the day, he will save Zelda from the castle. He will take up that mantle of the hero. That's just who he is. Alright, we've established his character, so let's see if we can analyze his development. In the past, Link didn't really have an arc at all. He got the Master Sword when he was 12 years old, and even before then, he was beating grown adults in combat. Right at the beginning, he was accomplished. Through the memories, he doesn't change at all. Instead, little details about who he is are sprinkled throughout. This is because Zelda is really the main protagonist of these memories, but I digress. Here's a list of all the details we're given. Link isn't fazed by other people's taunts or mockery. He's good friends with Daruk. He's single-minded when it comes to his responsibilities. He's seen as mute by others. His courage can make him reckless. He's close with Mipha. He followed in his father's footsteps in becoming a knight. He's knowledgeable about horse handling. He's caring and takes the time to listen, even when time is limited. And finally, he refuses to abandon his duty, even in the face of death. All of these details make up the Link of the past, which the Link of the present is able to catch mere glimpses of as he goes throughout his journey. Keep this in mind. Now I want to look at how Link progresses in the present. Let's ignore the memories for a little bit and just focus on what happens in the game. If we really boil it down, Link's arc in the present is actually quite simple. Let's measure it in terms of accomplishment. At the beginning, he starts at the bottom of the barrel. No memories, and only 3 hearts and 1 wheel of stamina to his name. But, as the game progresses, he gradually strengthens. He gets more hearts, more stamina, he meets more people, learns about the world, gathers stronger weapons and armor. All of this is on a natural incline. The Divine Beasts are stepping stones. There are 4 in total. Each one has Link meeting and befriending a champion descendant or warrior. Each one has him overcoming some sort of challenge to actually get to the beast, and then freeing the beast is another challenge all on its own. At the end, he gets another heart, symbolizing an increase of strength, and he's given a champion ability. The Master Sword is another stepping stone. He can only retrieve the Sacred Blade once he has 13 hearts, or roughly half of the strength he had in the past. This is Link's arc in the present, a simple incline with stepping stones. At the very end, he faces Calamity Ganon, wins, and frees Princess Zelda. That's the height of accomplishment, the very thing he's been working for during the entire game, and thus the end of his arc. Alright then, so what about the memories? How do they factor into all of this? Well, each of these memories, with these little details of who Link was sprinkled throughout, serve as a goal. Let me explain. As Link gradually grows in strength and accomplishment, he witnesses these flashbacks to a time when he, seemingly, was already perfect. the perfect hero, the perfect knight. I can imagine that, at first, the Link of the present is desperate to regain what he lost. He wants to be that perfect hero. But what I think he discovers along the way is that his past self wasn't happy. Not really. He was burdened, not just by the looming threat of the calamity, but by the pressure of the public. That's what he revealed to Zelda. So, in that sense, this image of the past becomes a goal, but not just one to reach, one to surpass. Link's arc is one of rebirth. Not just redemption, but rebirth. He can't go back to who he was before. That's just not possible. The past will always only be memories. But now, unburdened as he is, having spent months exploring and learning the wilderness, forging new friendships and regaining his strength, he can grow to a happier and far more accomplished version of himself. This idea of rebirth is, of course, echoed in the game itself. We see it in the plants growing amidst ruins. We see it in how Tarrey Town is built and developed. We see it in the champions regaining control of their divine beasts. And we see it in Zelda herself. Breath of the Wild tells the story of a tragedy, of a kingdom destined to fall, but it also tells the story of life growing amidst ruin, of a hero discovering just who he was, who he is now, and who he is meant to be. So there's Link's character and his arc. How is it actually told to the player? The present-day story is told simply enough. Go to this region, meet the important character, board the divine beast, fight the blight, get the champion ability. Do that 3 more times, grab the master sword along the way, then go beat the crap out of Ganon. Pretty straightforward. In comparison, the memories are odd. Remember, the game doesn't force the player to retrieve them in chronological order. So, technically, not everyone is going to experience the story of the past in the same way. Some players might have found the memory in the flower field first and got the impression that Link and Zelda were good friends. Others might have found the memory at the shrine where Zelda yells at Link. Others might have found the memory in the woods and seen Link and Zelda already in the midst of the destruction and grief of the calamity. I've always wondered why Nintendo decided to make the game this way. They could have easily forced the player to find them in order. That would have made the most sense. Except, maybe not. The thing is, the story of the past isn't supposed to be seen as a story at all. Not in the traditional sense, at least. If you watch all of the memories in chronological order, right after the other, it doesn't really play like a cohesive movie. The memories are rather disjointed from one another. They're just snapshots of the past, and I believe this is intentional. They're just memories, after all. There's a reason why we, the player, can't go back in time to experience Hyrule as it was. At least in this game. There's also a reason why the game doesn't show us a lot of the past, why all of the lore is tucked away in these little cutscenes and little diaries. It's because the developers and writers want us to stay here, in the present. The point of Breath of the Wild isn't the grandiose of past Hyrule, or even the destruction of the calamity. The point is the wild, the present, how life continues on even in the face of devastation. The point is how everything can be reborn. Just look at how Nintendo advertised this game. It was all about the open world aspect or the exploration. It was all about the vast wilderness. In fact, the first full trailer of this game just showed different landscapes for nearly a minute before it started showing the gameplay. I mean, come on, it's in the name. So I guess that begs the question of, is it good? Does this way of storytelling actually work? Over the years, people have complained that Breath of the Wild doesn't have a story. They compare it to Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Wind Waker, all 3 of which have linear storylines. And yeah, I see where they're coming from. I also miss the linear stories and dungeons of the past games. But for Breath of the Wild, this method of storytelling does work really well. It fits in the narrative that Nintendo was trying to tell. Now, for Tears of the Kingdom, that's a different matter. Tears of the Kingdom tried to tell a far more epic story, full of plot and twists, but the issue was that the player could view these cutscenes in any order. I spoiled myself on the major twist in the game because I saw one certain memory first. After that, anytime the game tried to bring up this mystery, I could only roll my eyes because I, and by extension, Link, already knew the answer. I think some people take that frustration with Tears of the Kingdom and apply it to Breath of the Wild. But think for a moment. Back then, when it was just Breath of the Wild, Were the memories really that big of a letdown? Well, maybe. I mean, after the second trailer for the game, it made Breath of the Wild seem like it had a really cool story that we would be able to experience. But instead, that really cool story is just a handful of cutscenes that aren't really connected to the gameplay. So yeah, in that sense, it is a letdown. But other than that, this method with the memories aligns with the central theme of the game. As for Link's character, I think it only adds to that and his arc. Do I want to see a linear story in future Zelda games? Yeah, I really do. Echoes of Wisdom was a nice reminder of a classic Zelda game. Do I think Breath of the Wild effectively delivered its story? Yeah, I do. But I'm getting a little off track here. Let's not forget why you clicked on this video in the first place. I like to call Link's character arc hidden mostly because he's not really meant to be the star of the show. Zelda is. She's the one the memories focus on. She's the one needing to be saved, and she's the one who delivers the finishing blow on Calamity Ganon. It's the Legend of Zelda, after all. Nonetheless, there's definitely an arc for Link in this game. He starts with nothing, just old rags for clothes and tree branches for weapons. But at the end, unless you're a speedrunner, he's amassed a large collection of supplies, weapons, and armor. He's collected many, if not all of his memories. He's been granted all 4 abilities from the late champions. He's reclaimed the Master Sword, and now he has all the strength he lost during his 100-year slumber. Intermingled throughout his journey, of course, are the memories, reminders of the past, of what he was and what he failed to do. Those memories must weigh heavily on him, but now, in the present, he won't allow them to dictate his life. Link's story is one of rebirth. It's more than just redemption, the regaining of something lost. It's accepting your past and becoming more than you were. It's the grass sprouting in stone ruins. It's the wild, flourishing, even amidst scorched ground. It's a reminder that, even in the face of devastating destruction, life will always return. And when Link finally fights that great evil, the orchestrator of all that pain and destruction, this time, he will not fail. And afterwards, after all the struggle, well, I think Zelda says it best.
Although Ganon is gone for now, there is still so much more for us to do, and so many painful memories that we must bear. I believe in my heart that if all of us work together, we can restore Hyrule to its former glory. Perhaps even beyond, but it all must start with us. Let's be off. I can no longer hear the voice inside the sword. I suppose it would make sense if my power had dwindled over the past 100 years. I'm surprised to admit it, but I can accept that.